Hi everyone, I'm Amy from the Cauldron, and in today's Vlogmas I am going to be making some Christmassy sourdough bread. The first thing I need to do is wake up my very sleepy, very hungry sourdough starter, which hasn't been fed for quite a while. 5th of November is when I last fed this. This starter needs feeding. It's been sitting in the fridge for a while and it is very hungry and needs waking up. So I'm just going to stir in all the hooch, which is the liquid on top, and I'm going to measure out 150 grams of this. Oops. I'm not very good, I'm not very accurate when it comes to measuring out. 156, that's close enough. Now I'm not going to waste what's left over in here. This is going to be my discard box. I always save my sourdough discard because these make delicious pancakes. I just pop the lid on this and it sits in the fridge until I need it. And when I feed my starter, I like to do a 1:1:1 ratio, which is 1 part starter, 1 part bread flour, 1 part warm water. So I zero that and add 156-ish millilitres of water. Okay. Zero that again and 156 grams of bread flour. Now let's give this a good mix. I started this sourdough during the 2020 lockdown. A little bit of a cliche, everyone was doing sourdough then, but I've kept this going because I really love making sourdough bread. And I actually had made sourdough before, but I just used up all the starter and I couldn't really be bothered making more. And you know, it was the bandwagoner, everyone was doing this during the first lockdown, so I thought, you know what, I want to get my sourdough starter up and running again, and I've been doing this ever since. Add it carefully into the clean jar. I always scrape everything because I want to get as much out as possible. And I've just realised, this probably isn't a great view for the camera. I don't normally film baking things. I normally film dyeing yarn, and well, actually I have the same problem with that as well. I set the camera up but not really thinking about where my hands are going to be. Oh, hopefully you saw that and had a good idea of what I was doing. I always mark on the jar where the starter is. Now I'm going to leave this for probably about 6 hours or so. I'm going to hopefully it will double in size in that time. And if it doesn't double in size in the next 6 hours, I'll come back and feed it again, because it has been sitting in the fridge for a while, so it might take a little while to wake up. I fed this starter again after 6 hours. I left it overnight, and then I fed it for a third time this morning. And now it's really nice and bubbly and ready to use. I finally decided what I'm going to make with this sourdough starter. It's going to be a Stollen inspired Christmas loaf. And I have here 500 grams of bread flour, and I'm adding to it 100 grams of softened butter. Some of it's a little bit too soft, that's all right. And I'm just going to rub the butter into the flour to make it look like breadcrumbs. Now, a great trick that I've learned to see if you've rubbed in all your butter is just shake the bowl like this, and all the lumps of butter will come to the top. That way you can just easily rub those in. This is really quite a neat little trick, particularly when you've got a lot of flour in comparison to butter. So the butter isn't going to be rubbed into all of the flour. To this I'm going to add 50 grams of granulated sugar. 52, that's close enough. For the liquid part of this, I'm going to be using cream and water. Now I need 125 millilitres of cream. This isn't quite that accurate. And I have in here approximately 150 millilitres. I need 250 in total, so I'm just going to add some hot water to this up to the 1/4 of a litre mark. And since it's the kettle boiled a little while ago, so it's not really hot, and because of that I'm not too worried about the egg scrambling in here. So I'm just going to add the egg, give it a mix up and pour all that in. Now most recipes that I've come across for an enriched doughs want milk. Now my husband can't actually drink milk, so I've substituted cream for cream and some water. Now, not forgetting our lovely bubbly starter. First thing we do is just, because it's bubbled up, just need to mix it, let it deflate a little bit, mix it all together, and then I need 300 grams of this starter. There you go, 300 grams. Now the rest of this I can feed it again and use it again another time, but what I'll probably do is just put the lid on it and pop it in the fridge until I next want to make something. Now last ingredient is the spices that we're going to use. You can do your own mix of spices depending on your tastes, but today I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 of ginger, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cloves, and a grating of fresh nutmeg. I don't ever measure out how much fresh nutmeg I use. I just grate until I think it looks like I've added enough. And I almost forgot my final ingredient, a teaspoon of salt. Now just give this a nice mix up. Now because this is a sourdough, I don't like to use my dough hook and my machine to use this, my stand mixer. I like to sort of do it by hand, and then once it gets to this sort of texture, this stage, I will just get my hands in just to try and bring the last bits of it together. It's very soft dough and it sticks to everything. Now I don't really need my sourdough. A lot of people do, but I find I like to do the stretch and fold method, which I'll show you now. Once I can try and get as much of this off my fingers as possible. The stretch and fold is simply stretch it up, fold it over, just like that. Just stretch it and fold it, stretch and fold, stretch and fold. And that's it, sort of brought together. And over the next 9 hours or so, I'll do the stretch and fold method a few more times, at least 3 times. Sometimes I do it a little bit more. And on the last stretch and fold, I'll add the fruit, which we will measure out now. Now you can obviously use whatever fruit you like. I'm using a mix of cranberries and raisins, and I want 250 grams of this. And to make this more Stollen-ish, I'm going to add some marzipan. Now that's 202 grams, that's all the marzipan I've got. It's been sitting in my freezer since Easter, so once it's defrosted, I'm going to be able to cut this up and turn it into little balls, so then that will get mixed in. After changing my mind again, I've finally settled on what I'm going to do with this. So I have folded this, done stretch and fold 3 times now. I'm just going to put a little bit of plain flour down, because now I'm going to roll this out, a bit of flour on top. I'm going to roll this out and I'm going to make sort of a cinnamon roll whirl type thing. Okay, I've rolled this out now. The dimensions don't have to be exact. I'd say it's probably about 1.5 rolling pins long by 1 rolling pin wide. I'm not so worried it doesn't have to be exact. I changed my mind multiple times during this, and what I've done now is roll out the marzipan. And I actually went out and got another packet of marzipan while it was proving. So this is a full 500 grams of marzipan. So I'm just going to layer it in the middle. I've rolled it out, and just going to put some, so I don't want it dotted all the way through. I thought this might be a bit better. That's looking all right to me. I'm happy with this. And then I'm just going to add in the fruit on top now. This is my 250 grams of fruit. I'm going to spread that out. There we go. Just in the middle. It doesn't look like much, but it should be enough. And I'm now going to attempt to roll this. I think I'm going to do top down. If I roll it this way, I will get all the filling in every one of my rolls. I don't need to, I'm not worrying about the swirl being really tight. I just want it all together. And again, my trouble trying to get it in frame. It's mostly in frame. Okay, I do have some bits that have fallen out, which I'm just going to put to one side. I'll just add those in later. Now I've got my pastry slice, and I'm going to aim for 16 of these. I may or may not make 16, but that is my aim. So that's now in half. These are all very rough. I'm not measuring them. I will, ouch, will possibly regret that, but it's too late now. There we go. Now I can just add these to my lovely pan. This is a 12-inch cake pan, which I absolutely love. It's got these removable sides, and you can make this into whatever size you want, which is brilliant. So I'm using it as a 12-inch square today, and I've lined this with my my cake tin lining paste, which is equal amounts, what is it? It's equal amounts oil, flour and vegetable shortening. So I'm just trying to spread these out. They are very different in size. Maybe I should have measured them, and now I can just add in the few little bits of fruit that popped out. Yeah, I am regretting not measuring it, but oh well. Now these need to be left again to prove, so I'm just going to cover it up with a bit of cling film, and I would normally leave it in my fridge to prove, but because it's so cold at the moment, I think I'm just going to leave it out on the counter, just out of the way. Actually, no, I am going to put this in my cold oven overnight, and then tomorrow morning I can take this out of the oven before I preheat it. I let these prove in my cold oven overnight, and then cooked them for 40 minutes at 180 fan. Let them cool down. Need to take these out and put them on a cooling rack, and then they'll be ready to eat. What do you two think of these buns?
I really like it. I really like it. My favourite part is the marzipan, because you used like a whole chunk of marzipan, and I love marzipan.
I like it because I like the dried fruit. I really like dried fruit.
And here we have it, my sticky, gooey, Stollen inspired cinnamon rolls. They're not the prettiest things I've ever baked, but they are full of flavour and they're delicious, and the kids love them and I love them. So thank you very much for watching this Vlogmas. I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in tomorrow for another episode, and leave comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Do you have any fail-safe recipes that you always make at Christmas? Let me know. And thank you for watching.